Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Thursday night, September the 12th. We're happy to have you. We have a big AFC East game on the television right now. For those of you who are streaming the NFL on Prime, the Bills and the Dolphins, two teams that are on the Titans schedule. We are going to talk about the third AFC East team, though. They'll play the entire AFC East this year. The Tennessee Titans will, but the Bills and the Dolphins are two of the teams up first on the Titans schedule. Before you get to the Bills and the Dolphins, though, the Jets are coming to town, and we're going to talk about the biggest key for the Titans to beat them on Sunday afternoon. We're happy to have you. We're excited to get into it. We need you guys to share the show. It's going to be a rapid-fire show tonight with everything that is going on. There is a lot of different stuff to break down and not a lot of time to get to it because I want you guys to enjoy kickoff between these two great teams as well. Before we get started, I need you to share the broadcast around on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, wherever you are consuming us. And with that, we'll go ahead and get this thing started. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Zen Sports. Download the app, plug in the promo code ATOZTN. Get up to $100 on your no danger first wager in the Zen Sports app. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. And, of course, Zen Sports, where betting just got better, which I've already mentioned. So instead, I'll tell you about TrueMath Fitness. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. All right, so we got the Dolphins offense on the field. And I know Titans legend Aaron Brewer at center is always funny for me to see that taking place because he's basically the same size as Tua. But either way, we're not here to talk Bills and Dolphins. We're here to talk about the Titans and the Jets. This is a big game. This is a conference opponent that also suffered a disappointing loss in its week one appearance. And for different reasons, they blew that game against the San Francisco 49ers. Titans blew it on offense. Jets blew it on defense. And so at some point, these two teams are going to have to find ways to even things out and find a way to become more balanced. So with all that being said, there's a lot of different things that you can pinpoint as to what these two teams do well and what these two teams do poorly. But I'll start with this. Your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Who is the better team right now, the Titans or the Jets? We'll talk about it together. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. It's presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer and your Ford Bronco headquarters. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. Who is the better team between these two opponents right now, between Tennessee and the New York Jets coming to town to try and win a game on the road? Rashid Jenkins says it's really hand-to-hand. I assume he means hand-in-hand, but even that wouldn't make entirely too much sense. So I'm assuming that you just mean that they're on an even playing field, Rashid. Jets, says Amar at this point. Guy Man says the Jets right now. Stephen King says the Titans' defense is the best side of the ball. The Jets have the better team. Well, the Titans' defense is the number one defense in football after week one. But also to take in consideration, they played a rookie quarterback, and that rookie quarterback looked like dog shit, whether it was because of you or because of his own struggles in week one. So I don't think that you should – I'm not going to – like I said earlier this morning on the radio show, I'm not going to take points away from the Titans' defense just because they played a rookie quarterback. But I'm assuming that the Titans' defense is not going to be as good against Caleb Williams as good against Aaron Rodgers as it was against Caleb Williams. Head-to-head, says G, talking about what Rashid Jenkins had to say earlier, head-to-head as opposed to hand-to-hand. Either way, I think there's a lot of different ways that you could look at this because the Jets' offensive struggles, they couldn't run the football, but Aaron Rodgers looked fine. The Titans' offensive struggles, they were running the football well in the first half, and then it completely evaporated in the second half, and this team could not pass protect in obvious passing situations, and so you saw Will Levis start to crumble. So the way that I would answer the question is, on the whole, who is the better team as Tua goes deep for Tyreek Hill, but just overshoots him on 3rd and 13, looks like, unless that was 2nd and 13, maybe 3rd and 13, upcoming with the score tied 0-0 on Thursday Night Football right now. There's a lot of different things that you could pinpoint. Like I said on YouTube, says Rodgers can't move. Well, he can move well enough. The problem is he's having to move a lot more than he would like to because their offensive line situation is not good. Now, the Titans had two of the worst offensive linemen in pass protection in week one, according to Pro Football Focus, where Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham were both tied for the fifth worst in terms of pressures allowed. They each allowed, that's an interception by Tua, and the Bills are currently running it back, but he's not going to make it to the end zone, well short, but still the first turnover of the night in favor of Buffalo. So with all that said, Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham had a really bad week one. Skoronski is the more worrying one because that's supposed to be one of your most consistent offensive linemen. Lloyd Cushenberry got his job done. He only gave up one pressure. But J.C. Latham allowed 5 pressures. Peter Skoronski allowed 5 pressures. Latham was the only one to give up a sack, but Skoronski allowed plenty of quarterback hits and hurries in this game. The other part of this is the fact that they don't have Hassan Reddick out there participating. He is also leaving their pass rush in a bit of a bind. But it wasn't an issue about rushing the passer on Sunday, or rather Monday night against the Niners. It's the fact that they couldn't stop the run. So on the whole, who's the better team? I'll tell you who the better team is right after I remind you that Zen Sports is your place to bet on all the football, whether it's college football tonight, Thursday night football, the NFL Sunday slate, or Saturday in across the world of the college football spectrum. You can bet on all your favorite major sports with Zen Sports. Up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Promo code ATOZTN is how you get in on all the action. Terms and conditions do apply. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. Call 1-800-889-9789 if you have a gambling problem. The Jets are the better team on the whole because the Jets have the better quarterback situation. Now, can Will Levis redeem himself on Sunday? Possibly. But also the weather conditions are supposed to be pretty shitty. If you're living in Middle Tennessee, you know that we're starting to get some aftermath from Hurricane Francine, and that's going to carry from today through Monday. About 3 to 5 inches of rain total in the next 4 days, and Sunday is not expected to let up. So it's going to be pretty sloppy out there. But who do you trust more in a bad weather game? You probably trust Aaron Rodgers, who's got more experience in the situation. The rest of it, right? We've talked about decision-making. We've talked about footwork. We've talked about accuracy with Will Levis. What did you make of the performance on the whole outside of the one glaring issue?
I thought that overall, I thought he needs to settle down a bit in the pocket. I thought in this particular game, he played a little fast. He was a little frenetic. I thought he moved his feet a little too much when he didn't need to. And sometimes that results in either just throwing too quickly or creating your own pressure. Now, he didn't do that on every play, obviously. But I just got the sense that, it was the opener and he was hyped up. And we know that he's a high-strung kid to begin with. And I just thought that his play reflected that to some degree. You hope that it's just, hey, the first time he started week 1 in the NFL. So you hope it was just a case of, the excitement of doing that and that he can settle down as the season goes on. I've been doing this a long time, Buck, and I'm not one who decides what a player or a team is after the first week of the season. I'm just telling you what the tape showed, and people can take that as they wish, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen every week.
So that's Greg Cosell of NFL Films on the latest episode of The Install. God's Child on Facebook Live says, you don't know what you're talking about, Buck. How can you say the Jets when they're both 0-1? Well, it's real easy. Did you not just hear the analysis from the executive producer and one of the original NFL analysts, Greg Cosell? Your quarterback isn't comfortable out there. He's getting sped up. He's causing himself to make bad plays, and it's beyond just the bonehead play, right? It's the the Ridley go ball that he missed. It's the fact that he's dirting it so much in the first half because he's not comfortable and he's getting sped up. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers being uncomfortable. Aaron Rodgers is a NFL MVP. He's a multi-time all-pro player, and even if he's 40 and coming off an Achilles, he looked like he had some mental and physical rust out there, but I'm not worried about him at all when it comes to the process and the recognition and the mental acumen that it takes to play quarterback. I don't know what Will Levis has going on between his ears right now because all my only evidence of what's going on with Will Levis is this past Sunday, and he shit the bed. In a big spot in the second half, he unraveled as that game progressed. It got worse over the course of a 60-minute football game. So it's real easy for me to say that the Jets are the better football team because the Jets have the superior quarterback. Will Levis is not Aaron Rodgers. Will Levis is not even Ryan Tannehill to date. This is something that when you look at this quarterback, this is what you're going to spend this entire season trying to figure out. You're going to try and figure out whether or not Will Levis is your future. There's no question that Aaron Rodgers is I'm not going to say the future of the Jets because he's 40 years old and I have no idea how much longer he's going to want to play. But you'd be a fool if you think that Aaron Rodgers and Will Levis had the same experience on Sunday when one quarterback actively gave away the game and the other one had a defense in the New York Jets. Will Levis was supported by his defense. Will Levis did not support his defense. Aaron Rodgers' defense allowed 8 straight scoring drives. Even if he was completely 100% right mentally and physically behind that Jets offensive line, you are in a losing position on the road if your defense gives up 8 straight scoring drives. You're banged. You're banged in that spot. Think about if the Bears had gone on 8 straight scoring drives against the Titans. It would have been an ass kicking. It would have looked way more like what San Francisco's result against the Jets. And I'm not saying this to discourage you because Levis has 16 more opportunities to go about correcting this. But again, if you are trying to compare the 0-1 Jets and the 0-1 Tennessee Titans, looking at the quarterback situation as your evidence, then you're entering into the discussion without fact or logic, and that is not somebody that I can't reason with you at that point. You're going to believe whatever you want to believe, but logic and reason tells us that the former NFL MVP and all-pro quarterback is a superior player, even at an advanced age, than the guy who in his first start as the bona fide, undisputed Tennessee Titans starting quarterback, peed down his leg, essentially, as the game wore on, and that is not something that I'm worried about with Aaron Rodgers. Now, with the Jets defense, do I think that they'll look that bad against the Titans? No, not necessarily, because the Titans do not have as potent an offense as the San Francisco 49ers do. But there are reasons to think that you can move the ball effectively on this Jets defense, which is probably not a conversation that you thought you would have had in this particular moment. Matthew Maddox says, Purdy went 19 of 29, 239, no touchdowns. How do you think that would go for Levis if he plays like that this weekend? That's fine. He did, because what did Purdy do? He didn't lose the game. He put him in positions to capitalize. How many field goals did Jake Moody make? 6. He put his offense in position to keep a handle on that game. He didn't have to throw touchdowns because he was efficient, he was effective, he was decisive, he was comfortable in a muddy pocket, and he delivered the football. He delivered in a big spot. It's not just about the touchdown passes, although, of course, scoring does matter, but it's the fact that is Will Levis hitting Kyle Juszczyk on a wheel route, the fullback, with timing, rhythm, and accuracy, the way that Brock Purdy is able to do? Is Brian Callahan also the kind of schematic expert that Kyle Shanahan is? We don't have the answer to that question yet, though we are finding out more. I didn't have an issue with Brian Callahan's game plan. I thought he called a winning game. His quarterback, again, let him down, let the defense down, and that's where they have to continue to improve. If he goes 19 of 29, 239, no touchdowns, as long as he's not making ghastly turnovers that lose them the game, then it's fine. That's an improvement. That's an improvement over him going on the road against an NFC opponent, against an imminently beatable opponent, and blowing a 17-0 lead and allowing defense and special teams to account for 24 unanswered points. It's unacceptable. So yes, 19 of 29 for 239 would be a breath of fresh air. You would think that he has made progress in that direction. Matthew says, no, I'm saying if that's all the production he could get, then if Levis plays like he did against the Bears, against the 49ers, we are done for. I disagree, because if your running game is going to be efficient and effective and your passing game is going to supplement your running game, you're going to run the football. I'm not going to say it's a primary running offense, but they're trying to run the air out of the football in a lot of these situations. Joe Mixon in Cincinnati was a volume running back. Tony Pollard may not be a volume running back, and they're going to divvy up the workload more evenly between Pollard and Spears this week, it sounds like. But still, this offense is predicated on establishing the run. And I know that's not something you thought you were getting when you let go of Derrick Henry and hired the Bengals OC, but that's what the Bengals offense was. It's efficiency in the running game. He doesn't have to throw touchdowns. He just can't cost his team the game. That's the thing. Now, of course, he's got to throw touchdowns eventually. And it can't just be like a lob up in the air as he's getting flung to the ground by Darrell Taylor that Chigakongo has to make an unbelievable catch on, because Chig did make an unbelievable catch in a big spot there to bail his quarterback out, because I thought that could have just as easily been an interception as it was a touchdown reception. But still, Levis is the thing that makes the Titans an inferior team right now. What he has to do is continue to disprove the narrative that his decision-making is a problem, because all Sunday did was reinforce that his decision-making is a problem. So let's talk about DeAndre Hopkins, because something that will help Will Levis is having DeAndre Hopkins back in the fold. The question that I'm going to ask you is this: how do you feel about DeAndre Hopkins' status with the Titans right now? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll get into it together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the Pontoon Saloon and the Nashville Game Day Water Taxi. It's a great setup that the Nashville Water Taxi has. I went on the Pontoon Saloon, not the Nashville Water Taxi, but what they're doing is they are going to have a situation where you can go to the Nashville Water Taxi. You can park for $20. You can tailgate with them, and they will then ferry you down a quick trip, about a 10-minute ride from their marina where you can tailgate to Nissan Stadium, and drop you off right in front of the bridge building and the Ghostworks machine, the mangled steel sculpture that's out there. It's a great value for a great setup. The Game Day Water Taxi is a round-trip ticket to and from all home Titans games this season. So it departs from Lock 1 Marina and drops guests off at the East Bank downtown dock, just a 10 to 15-minute ride. Parking pass is $25. If you pre-book, it's just $15 per car. Vehicles larger than 2 axles may inquire for availability and pricing. A round-trip water taxi is just $20 per person. So check out the Game Day Water Taxi, courtesy of the Nashville Pontoon Saloon. So with everything that's going on with the Titans, DeAndre Hopkins and his availability has, of course, been a talking point. And whether it's an MCL tear, an MCL sprain, I saw Teron and PK going back and forth about what Hopkins had told them respectively. I kind of think Hopkins is screwing with people a little bit, which makes me laugh. William Jones says, so 45 total? Yeah, 45 total. 25 to park and 20 for the round-trip ticket. 15 if you book in advance. It's a great deal, courtesy of the Nashville Water Taxi, the Game Day Water Taxi, rather. So with everything else that you've got going on, DeAndre Hopkins and his return to the lineup, or his increased presence in the lineup, would matter. Now, Brian Callahan says that they're moving forward and continuing to ramp him up, and that this is not an injury that's going to get worse by him playing. So whether it's a sprain, a tear, or what have you, his MCL injury, he feels fine. He played about 17 snaps out of 61 offensive snaps for the Titans in Chicago, and it sounds like he's going to get even more against the Jets on Sunday.
Long season.
It is a long season. You have 16 more opportunities to go out there. How much do you try to not let a game like this define your team?
Oh, this one hurt. This one hurt. You know, of course, competitors, it hurts. But you know, we got veterans. We got a lot of good players on this team. We seen what we can do. I just got to put it together.
For you personally, like the plan, ramping you up and getting you ready to go today, Brian Callahan said that, you know, your snap count is going to be on how you feel. Spinning it forward, how do you think you'll be able to, you know, get ready?
I feel great.
But as far as, so how did you feel?
I'll tell you the same thing. I feel great.
How did you feel today going through?
I feel great.
To see how you guys started the game, to be in that position, 17-0, how much does it hurt? That it probably
Hurts
like
a lot.
it was-
Hurts a lot. Any loss hurts. 1 point, 20 points. You know, it's tough. NFL though, gotta get your hands to them.
I guess to follow up on that, Will said in there that he felt like you kind of gave it. And is that the feeling that you guys kind of coughed this one up?
It's a team loss, man. You know, 11-11.
Excellent. So that's DeAndre Hopkins post-game in Chicago. Teron kept asking him about how he felt, and he just said, I feel great. I'm going to tell you the same thing if you ask me again. I felt great. So Hopkins with 1 target, 1 catch, 8 yards against the Bears. Sounds like he's going to be more available. That's a big boost to Will Levis. We'll see how he ultimately ends up participating in this game, because that's just a big security blanket for Levis to have back, even if he's not like catching every pass or whatever. Just to have him out there gives you an increased level of comfort, because you know if you go in his direction, he's going to make you right more often than not. Matthew says definitely could use him back at full speed. Him and Levis chemistry was nice last year. Yes, that was something that Will Levis did show a connection with DeAndre Hopkins, and Hopkins is somebody who is going to matter for this football team in a big way. A to Z Sports Primetime is presented by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Don't sell without the Intel edge that only Gary Ashton can provide. Your dream address without the stress from the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators and me, GaryAshton.com. Okay, so we'll wrap up with a weekend bounce back and get you over to, is that a tie game? It looked like a Jalen Waddle. Oh, they're going to mark him just shy 1 year. They're going to get the ball on the 1 yard line of the Bills. 7-0 the lead right now for Buffalo, and Miami threatening with first and goal from the 1 if you're not watching on Amazon Prime tonight. Who needs to bounce back most in sports this week? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Of course, there are plenty of good nominees to submit. Probably your quarterback could use a bounce back. Who needs to bounce back most this week? We will talk about it together. I'll tell you that of all the quarterbacks who had shitty weeks, Deshaun Watson's week, probably the worst of the quarterbacks. So here he is against the Dallas Cowboys with some of the inaccuracies, some of the issues. Now, Dallas has a good defensive front, but ultimately Watson was a nightmare, especially when you look at Baker Mayfield of having a 4-touchdown pass debut in a win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The fact that the Browns let him go for Deshaun Watson, only to give Deshaun Watson $250 million guaranteed, and the fact that Watson still sucks out loud this badly is pretty crazy to see. There you see him with adequate protection and just sailing a ball out of bounds, not even remotely close to the receiver. You see him there struggling against Micah Parsons, getting buried by the Dallas defense, throwing an ill-advised pass in the direction of, I believe that's Diggs, the Cowboys corner. But still, Watson was a nightmare. Watson's week also with his 27th civil suit alleging domestic assault at this point, which is much more severe than the other infractions that he has faced 26 other civil suits for. So bad week for Deshaun Watson. Browns fans could use a bounce back. I personally am happy. I'm just fine to see Deshaun Watson struggle. I am very, you guys know how I feel about him. I feel just about the same about Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, who gave him all that guaranteed money, regardless of everything that's going on in his life. That is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen an NFL owner make, and that is a touchdown for the Miami Dolphins. B. French says Shannon Sharpe needs a bounce back. No, I think Unc got it right. If you're out here having sex on Instagram Live and you don't get Levis, right? Where Levis got hacked, and that's how his stuff ended up out there on the internet. Shannon Sharpe, apparently, he said he got hacked on his Instagram, though. He sounded like he was in the middle of the act while the phone goes live for about 6,000 people to listen to him grunting and groaning and huffing and puffing. But the benefit for Shannon Sharpe is all you have to criticize is the audio. He just sounds like he's out of shape a little bit. I think Ocho Cinco said he needed to work on his cardio, needs to hit the Stairmaster. He's breathing too hard in the middle of the act. William Jones says he thinks it was a publicity stunt. If it was a good one. Shit. Because one, you can't go off and you can't go and say that Shannon Sharpe, looks bad while he's having sex, or that that his manhood is small or anything like that. Like, you didn't actually see anything, you just hear it. So if it was a publicity stunt, it's pretty funny. And I am in full support of it. Bert apparently wanted to try and do the same thing with my Instagram. Bert, explain yourself for the Instagram live hack. We'll see if this works effectively. Given your internet situation.
So what I was wanting to do is you would go live on Instagram, right? But with the camera facing up like this. Yeah. So all you would see is the ceiling, and it would be us like grunting, like, oh, me and you, correct.
Me and my girlfriend, you and me.
Yes, we would be grunting and struggling with something, and you would say something along the lines of, "You're going to take this." And I would say, I don't want it. I don't want it. Oh, you're going to take this. Oh, it's too big. I don't know if I could take it. Oh, I don't know if I could do it. But then the camera would pan down, and we would be moving some furniture from your house that I would be loading into my car. I thought that would be funny.
I think it would be genius. We've given away the game now, so perhaps we'll orchestrate this bit for the radio audience who hasn't heard it just yet. Thank you both for your contributions tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, this is what we come up with during our primetime pre-show prep. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. I told you guys I would get you back in time to watch the first half of Thursday Night Football. It's tied currently 7-7 between the Bills and the Jets, two opponents that you have on your schedule. Of course, you'll have to best an AFC East opponent of your own on Sunday when the Jets come to town. Now, wear a poncho because the weather is expected to be gnarly. We're trying to figure out whether the pregame show is actually going to be outside the stadium or whether we're going to be back in studio, and then I'm going to schlep down to the stadium after we do the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. But tomorrow we'll have Coach Mack. We'll preview this Jets game. We'll have a great time from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone, and I will see you guys then.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!